All right, what's up, everybody? We're with Nathan Devon, aka Devo. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well, maintaining.
So I'm talking. Did you have like a bunch of orders today? Is that what you're doing, or did you have like work?
Yeah, good question. So I actually do not do DeVoCustoms full time. So I have a real corporate job. So I got a nine to five, and then this is usually my custom time. So um, yeah, put the kid to bed, and then yeah, go hard on some customs, social media stuff, editing videos, stuff like that. But yeah, this is usually when I get it done. So I'm hustling, man, hustling. Hopefully one day it becomes my full time.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, man. So you have a full-time job, you have a kid, and you're doing Devo Customs. That's like yeah, three jobs in one, you know?
Yeah. It's a lot to balance, but I think we got a good flow now um, until like the kid changes and he starts staying up late or something. But there's always a way to
Yeah,
figure it out and make
yeah.
time.
So did you like kind of like start with your job and then like had art to the side, like just for fun, and then eventually did it become like a business, or how did that process out?
Kind of like that, yeah. So kind of origin story. So I always loved drawing and painting ever since I was a kid growing up. And, I kept doing it throughout high school. I was a fine arts minor in college, but I didn't really see a real career path in it. At least I wasn't exposed to one. But I came out here to Portland. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Came out here to Portland. When I got here, I figured out that Nike and Adidas were both here. And I'm also a
Mhm.
huge sports fan. So I was like, you know what, I got to figure out how to get a job at one of these two companies. Luckily, Adidas took me in. I was an intern in 2016, still kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then that's when I met graphic designers at Adidas. So people who, design the graphics you see on t-shirts. And to me, that was like, that's the dream job, right? Like I love sports and at one of the best sports brands in the world. I get to draw all day and create. And so from that point on, it was my goal to get a job in doing graphic design with Adidas. And I got some interviews, I got some coffee chats, but I was denied. I did not have the Photoshop and Illustrator experience that everybody else had. And like, there's, people coming from different brands and art school for 4 years, all that kind of stuff. And so um, I really stood no chance. And, I figured I had to do something to make my portfolio stand out. And that's when, I knew that I had the art capability in me, right? But I just could not get it like onto a garment. And then I saw that people were painting on jackets and shirts and stuff like that. Figured out my own formula, trials and tribulations, eventually made my first piece. Took pictures of it with a friend. Sorry, posted it on Instagram, and it got a lot of attention, right? And then eventually someone was like, hey, can I buy this? And that's when it flipped for me. Like, maybe this isn't about getting a job at Adidas anymore, but this could be my own little thing. And so ever since then, yeah, flipped the switch, and I've been taking custom orders ever since. And keep on building. Started as kind of friends and family first, but kept building and building to the point where I'm at now. And then still with the Adidas job on the side, love Adidas, love the brand, and continuing to work on my skills there as well.
Sure, man. So like how much of like school like contributed to your skills? Because I know like of course if you work on a craft, if you work on a job, like a lot of time that has to be allocated to your craft has to be something outside of like work, outside of like school, right? Because like you said, like maybe you didn't have that Photoshop like the Adobe Premiere program experience, but like a lot of the skills that you had to learn are outside of school. But do you think like your college prepared you for where you are today, or is it just mainly on you?
That's a really interesting question. No one's asked me before. For me, in my experience, one person, right? Like art, like doing fine arts minor in school, like I didn't learn a whole lot from that. It just gave me dedicated time, right? So time where I'm head down focused I'm in painting one, and I can, practice my skills. But like, it wasn't like, the teacher was giving me like bits of information that I could then apply. All that, YouTube is your best teacher, to be honest. Like, I've learned so much from YouTube. I still use like tutorials today, Google, like, how to do hair tutorials. And so I would give that advice to any artist is like, you know, YouTube is really the only teacher you need. And then, you know, taking art classes, and even I've talked with some designers, going to art school for them was like, they were like, you know what, you don't have to go to art school. Like, you know, all it gave me was just 2 years of dedicated time to work on this craft. And so I think when you put the time in, that's when you start to reap the benefits, from my perspective, with art.
Do you think it's like better like nowadays to like, instead of going to like school, like a graphic design school, it's better to build your own portfolio on social media, on your personal website, and really showcase your work instead of just going to school? I know when you go to school, it'll help you get like a lot of internship opportunities, co-ops, maybe like even full-time jobs, like specific programs and whatnot. But I think that if you utilize social media to the right extent, you can definitely build up yourself. You know, you don't have to rely on a actual like school or anything like that. Like, do you think nowadays that's the case?
I think, to your point, yes, you can do that. Like the internet has broken down that barrier for people to do that. I mean, I would still recommend, like, if you can afford it and do it, and it's not gonna, you know, break your bank, I would say it's still good to go to college, you know, go there, make connections. But is it absolutely required to get from point A to point B? No, I don't think I don't think it is. And so, yeah, if you're in a position where you might not be able to afford it, can't do it at the time, it's definitely, social media and the internet in general has just made it, just another route to get to the same place, really.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so let me see if I'm getting this straight. So you were denied the internship opportunity, and so you created your own sort of art for fun, and then one of your boys was like, "Yo, this is mad dope," and then was he trying to like buy it off you, and then that kind of like flipped the trigger?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So I had the internship at Adidas, but like from there, you know, you have an internship. So your contract runs out in a certain amount of time. So to stay on and to try to continue my work at Adidas, that's where I was applying for the graphic design roles. And then, yes, getting denied, did my own thing. Someone thought it was super cool. Like, can I buy this? And then, yeah, flip the switch. So that was really the trigger point.
So what was like kind of like the next moment? Do you kind of like make like more custom denim jackets or what?
Yeah. Yeah. So I kept making, some more. I made a few for fun, after that. And, my first client was actually a friend who reached out, one of my really good friends from back home. And it was like, yeah, the first one. So yeah, he bought a jacket, sent it to me, made a sketch for him first, and then did it and everything. And I charged him $45, which is like, the lowest I've ever charged, because I was just like wasn't confident in myself yet in selling this stuff, and just getting my foot in the door. And so, yeah, that did that. His mom actually ended up purchasing a few pieces, which was funny too. And then like it was literally that organic. It would be, you know, a friend here, a friend there, a family member here. And then it eventually grew to where it was random people, from Instagram, reaching out. And I think for me, you know, it was obviously slow beginnings, but, the first piece I made was like a portrait of like Lil Yachty. So you know who Lil Yachty is?
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. So, Lil Yachty, I made it like Cold Lake, Minnesota, because I'm from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
He tweeted something like, "Fans, like, send me stuff." And I was like, well, I just made this, like, I'm definitely going to send it to you. So I sent it to him, and I'm like actually on the flight back to Minneapolis, going home for the holidays or something. And my friend's like, "Yo, check out Lil Yachty's story on Snap." And I'm like, "What?" And I like open it up. He's like dancing, doing whatever. And then all of a sudden there's just a shot of my jacket, and it's just like there. And then I screenshot it. I'm freaking out. And like, I was so absent-minded. I didn't put like any indication of who I was
Mm-hmm.
in the package. I literally just sent the jacket in a box. I don't know why I did that. That was, looking back at it, that wasn't smart, but he appreciated it obviously and posted it. And that was like, you know, that to me like validated, like, I think I'm onto something here. You know, if someone at that caliber and level is like excited about my art and reposting my art, like that to me is like, was the engine to keep going and keep building.
So that, yeah, that kind of solidified like, okay, you're going to continue doing this. And then from there, from that point forward, it was like, did you kind of expect like your number of sales to like increase dramatically? And if it like, did you expect that? Like, did that happen, or can it still like gradually? Do you still gradually have to like grow your business, grow your art, and wait for it to scale?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think every business looks a little different. For me, it was definitely slow and dramatic. Right. So, I I had never had to wait and ask for commissions, which has been a huge blessing. So I always have a steady flow. You know, at times if I get like a big repost or something like that on social, like I'll get a bunch at one time. But what I've done is as I start to grow and build more credibility, like my price band goes up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it started at 45, right? And so now I'm like 500 to 800, but depending on how long the design takes. And so that has, I think, not that I'm taking on more commissions per se, but the type of commissions I'm doing for people are more valuable. So that's been a pretty slow process. And, you know, figuring out from the start, like, you know, should I have the customer provide the jacket or should I buy it? And like all those little things. And so I think that first period was me trying to figure out my best process, but, you know, probably took a good 3 months to 4 months to really get it down, solidified, and maintain that steady flow of customers. So been super blessed.
Because I would always assume like, okay, if someone like Lil Yachty were to wear that, and all of his like his boys, his rapper boys, were to see that, you know, and everywhere across Instagram, Snapchat, like I would feel that your social media platforms would just boost up, and then out of nowhere, like almost overnight, your number of inquiries, number of custom orders would just skyrocket. Was that the case in that point, or did it?
Not at that point, which is like goes back to me not putting like my tags or anything on there. Like, of course, I DM'd him like right after, like, "Yo, I made that," and like, "Thanks for posting it" or something. But like, I mean, he had like 1 million followers at that point. He didn't see it, so not at that point. But like that obviously happens, right? So I've had like athletes post like, you know, CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic. I've had like, I think one of the first ones I did that was good was it was a Kid Cudi fan account, and he reached out and he had like 70,000 followers or something like that. And I made one for him, and he reposted it. And that, like, for some reason, like people really love Kid Cudi, and I don't think Kid Cudi had an Instagram at the time. So I think people following that account, like, legit thought it was Kid Cudi. But anyways, like I got a ton of followers and then so from there that was a big boost. But yeah, I mean, I think the blueprint for me and growing and how I've been able to continue growing is definitely through influencer marketing. And so I've done pieces for people for free, knowing that, you know, it'll definitely boost the amount of customer inquiries. So a super cost effective way to really get your message out there.
Wait, do you know the exact like month or year, like when you first made your first custom order?
Yep, September 2016.
Oh wow!
So yeah,
this is definitely pre TikTok. So you're just utilizing like Snapchat and Instagram.
Yeah, not Snapchat as much. I mean, I'd post a few things on there, but yeah, it was basically all Instagram.
Okay. And I think by that time, Instagram still had like a lot of organic reach compared to like today. You know what I mean? So
100%.
A better opportunity of like growing your page. So now, like back in those times, like back in 2016, 2017, if I wanted a custom order, now did I have like the option to choose like the denim jacket, or was it just one fixed like denim jacket, of course, with different sizes? And like, do I have like the say of like how I want like the art to be made, or is it just like did I send you a picture? Like, how was the process of like the custom order?
Yeah, good question. So first, for the jacket, the customer always provides the jacket. Learn that early on. It's going to fit them the best. You know, they just have more control over that. And so that's my process. And it's also kind of serves as a collateral for the customer. So like, I don't start sketching ideas until I receive the jacket at my place. So that's that question. When it comes to the art, can be as simple as, you know, or as exact as I want this picture at this time, or it can be as simple as like, give me something whimsical. and like I'll just everything in between, and I'll just create sketches and go off that to make sure that the customer likes it. And obviously the more refining and renditions, that comes out to more time and comes out to more cost, but that's the operating. And I think for me, like there's a ton of people doing this, right? There's a lot of people who are doing custom denim art, DIY, painting, commissions. But what I really pride myself on is really like ensuring that the customer is getting, like they felt like they had a piece in creating what I'm making for them. And like that one-on-one collaboration piece is super important to me. And I think a big factor into why I have some really loyal customers and people spreading my word of mouth.
I think that's a good point because like, yeah, they like the customer feels like they have a huge say, a huge part of like making the art themselves, And
Absolutely.
It's all about that. It's all about that feedback that you provide. Like, yeah, you can probably send them a couple of iterations, but if you just like really like focus on one customer at a time, then I think in the long run, that's going to help build more relationships and more orders from that one person. And I think a lot more referrals. So I think like, even though it can be painstaking at first, like I think it's still like a good business model. You always got to care about your customers.
100%. Yeah. And then like, I think of myself, something I always say is like, I'm the executor and I really want to put your hands on the wheel and be the creator. And like, this is me just executing your vision. So I've gone to lengths to make sure my customers are happy at the end of the day. And yeah, it's a slow build, but I'm in it for the long run. It's a long game. That's what I'm playing. And so yeah, definitely customer interaction is super important for me.
Mm-hmm. So even for like today, like if I send you a jacket, like it has to be denim. Like, can it be like a leather? Because I know like you can't use the same artistic materials for each or across each like material for the jackets, right?
So I found that I can actually. So I can do it on anything but like a windbreaker material. So that's where it won't stay. But I've done hoodies, I've done shirts. The thing is why I prefer, and I think the customers prefer denim the most, is like the art is heavy, right? Like I'm painting like real paint on a garment. So if you're wearing a shirt, like you're gonna feel it when it comes to the art. But when it's the denim jacket's already has some structure to it, like you're not going to feel that as much, which is why I think I gravitate towards painting on it and customers do as well. But yeah, I found that the formula works across basically I've done some bags and backpacks, anything other than windbreaker, kind of like satin material. So.
Mm-hmm. And like, what's the composition of like the paint that you use? Because like my biggest worry would be potentially like if I put it in the washer, like would it dissolve over time? You know what I mean? Like what type of paints do you use to make sure that that stays there for a long period of time, basically?
Definitely. Yeah. That was like my 1000% biggest concern when I first started, and definitely did a lot of testing, but I actually have them right here. So this is screen printing ink, white screen printing ink. I use this as like the first layer to basically like build the canvas. And so I build that, I let that dry. What this does is like, this stuff isn't going anywhere. Like it's not going to wash out. It's like screen printing ink. If you have a graphic tee, it's like the same stuff that they use. And then it also makes it like prevents cracking and makes it flexible. So you can scrunch it up and whatnot. So that's the canvas. And then on top of that, I just use like regular acrylic. So, whatever brand of acrylic paint you use. And then I mix it with this. So this is called GAC 900 from Golden. And basically you mix that with your screen printing ink with your acrylic, and it basically creates fabric paint, those things together. So so often with the brushes, I add some more of the mixture, mix it together, and then I can paint. And it's water resistant. It's washable. I have a video of me washing it. However, I still recommend, and I tell customers this, like I would hand wash it, like if you want it to last the longest. And this is only because I don't know everybody's different settings on their machines and everything like that. So like, I just know I've tested with like my machine and my settings. And so that's why the only reason I recommend it. But like, I've had people wear them in the rain. It's fine. Stuff like that. So it's definitely a big thing that I worry about, obviously with customer care, and it also that like every customer asks me about it too before they really place an order. So make sure that we're on the same page.
So like, how long did it take you to kind of like acquire all this knowledge of like, okay, these are the paints that I know for a fact are gonna stick to the denim, to the end of the jackets. I know for a fact that like is gonna like last like long term. Like, how long did it take you to like realize, okay, I already have a set of fundamental principles that I'm gonna apply. All I have to do is just make the art, get more customers, and scale the business.
Yeah, probably a month. But the funny part is like I was kind of figuring it out while I was doing orders. So some of
Uh,
those first people might have gotten some, might have gotten some, I haven't had any complaints yet. But some of the very first customers, and I think I told them that straight up too, like, hey, like, you know, I would still be kind of careful with this, being super transparent, but yeah, probably a good month of, you know, just testing, washing, putting it in the dryer, high heat, low heat. And yeah, going about it that way. So yeah, now I'm at a point where I don't have to worry about that, but yeah, it took some time.
this is like going like way back. So like when you first like started drawing, like what's like your basically like your style? Like, do you like a lot of like street graffiti, contemporary? Like, I don't really know too much about art like that, but like, what's like your style? Like, what's your flavor, and how has it developed throughout the years?
That's a really good question. And like, I posted a TikTok video about this and I was like, guys, I don't think I have a style. Like, I do landscapes, I do cartoons, I do graffiti, I do all these different types of things, portraits. Um, and so like when I think about it, there hasn't been one style that I don't like navigate from. Like I love doing cartoons. So, I mean, that's what I started with, like watching cartoons on Saturday mornings and drawing the cartoons. Like that was my like probably my favorite thing through like up till high school. Drawing Pokemon, like Yu-Gi-Oh. And then in high school, I really got into like graffiti. So like drawing graffiti. Um, and that was, yeah, maybe quote unquote my style. Um, but you know, I haven't stuck to a style yet, and maybe I'm still figuring it out. Maybe that's what that means. But you know, I think I just like to, like, if I'm drawing for fun and it's not for a customer or anything, like I make sure I'm drawing things that I like. So I guess my advice to somebody is like, if you're trying to find your style, just draw what you like draw, if you like basketball, like start drawing, you know, basketball players, different poses. And like, I think that will help sort of like get your style over time. And I wouldn't put too much pressure on it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think, yeah, maybe I'm still discovering it, but those are just some of the things I like.
Were you that kid like in class that would like always draw?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I
whenever
mean,
you're
I
right
was
class.
like, yeah, I was like social though too. Like I wasn't just like about, but like, yeah, if there was a lecture, there's no shot at me not drawing during the lecture or anything like that. It's funny, like I think I got a really good sense of like feedback, like from an early age. Cause in third grade, like we would have free time or whatever, and kids would like literally like line up and be like, draw this for me, draw this for me. And I would just like, draw this Yu-Gi-Oh character for me, draw this. And I'd be just sitting there like, boom, boom, here you go, boom, boom, here you go. And like some kids would be like, that looks weird. Like that's too big. Like that's too that. And I'm like, I'm just like, this looks way better than what you can do or so, you know what I mean? But like, I think that I was like that kid, and I think that exposure, like early on, for some reason, has kind of like stuck with me too. And when people critique my art, and it was good too, because kids are honest. Like they'll actually tell you. So like there
Oh
was some
yeah.
stuff where I'm like, "You're totally right. Actually, that was a bad one. Sorry." But so like that was good too. But yeah, definitely that kid. Um, yeah, drawing as much as possible. Um, but yeah, also being social too, and love sports too. So those were definitely my two favorite things: sports and art.
And did you get like a lot of like support from like your friends and family? Like for example, like your family probably like thought that since you're like so young and yeah, like an artistic ability, they probably thought like, oh, like I really want to like help define my son with his artistic ability. Maybe it can make this to a long lasting career. Like, did they support or like did they give you a lot of supplies, classes, or was it just basically just you drawing? for fun?
Good question. Yeah. I got a lot of support. From my mom, especially, who, what always, encouraged me and like floated out art school a few times. And I definitely appreciated that support, and, helped me get supplies. I took a few classes. Very fortunate for that. But I think like the narrative, like it's just the narrative that I bought into, that like, art careers don't last, or art careers are not a thing. You'll be starving, and like you should get a business degree and do this. Or even like there was a period of time where like people were like, art is like nerdy and stupid. And like, I just bought into that too. So I think it was me like kind of crafting my own narrative in my head. And about like, and I don't think that's why I didn't like super pursue it and go into art school. And, I don't regret not doing that. I had a fantastic experience at my college, and I still got to do art, and probably had more of like a classic like college experience, which was great for me. But yeah, I would say, fortunate enough, but like, I would say for artists is to not buy into the narrative that they're not art jobs. I think now more than ever, almost, there's creativity needed everywhere. So you're kind of flexing that art muscle in multiple different industries. And I think, especially as everything skews to AI, and machinery, like the real human talent is going to be that creative piece, and that artistic piece. And so I think that's, just something to be aware of. And even if you're feeling pressures to stop doing your art, continue on.
Out of curiosity, like, have you been to like a lot of like art museums? And like, if you've gone to like many of them, like, have you ever felt like extremely inspired by like certain artists to like, just try to be better than them, if not like replicate their abilities?
Yeah, that's funny. Like, I'm probably not the classic artist in terms of like knowing my stuff and like, I don't know, having a really artsy conversation at like a museum. Like I definitely have gone to museums and appreciate the art there. But in terms of inspiration, like I would say my inspiration really comes from like hip hop and rappers. Like I just think it's really interesting. I mean, especially when I was kind of coming up in 2017, of rappers like Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi, who like just did something so out of left field, and it like just hit. And like the way they were able to sort of market it and kind of break into, a mainstream, like rap industry that was really kind of cookie cutter a certain way. And there were plenty of people who had done that before, like Kanye, the list goes on. But at that time, it was just really apparent like that these guys are coming with something totally new. And for me, like that, like seeing how they go about that, and like how they market that, and how disruptive they're being, is kind of what inspires me more than sort of looking at a piece of art and saying like, oh, that, that shape is really nice, and something like that. So that's really what like drives me for inspiration. I'm also a huge Gary Vee fan. And so I watch like all of his content basically, and he's just super inspiring about mindset. He doesn't really touch on art really at all, but all of his concepts like super apply. So I'm a huge fan of his work, and definitely take inspiration.
So speaking about like sports and music, I feel like with art, it's kind of like a complement with like sports and music. It's kind of like milk and cookies, because like I feel like back in the day, like I love hip hop. I still listen to like 90s hip hop, like Nas, Biggie. And like at those times, like it wasn't like so colorful, you know what I mean? It was more
Mm-hmm.
hard, true story, like real like scenarios. Now it's a lot more colorful. You see a lot of people wearing like, even like with streetwear, like you see a lot of people wearing like neon streetwear colors, and it's very vibrant and it's really cool. And I think art ties a lot into that. So I think like as you see that propel, especially with like different like SoundCloud rappers, different MCs, just so many coming up with different like flavors, different like artistic abilities, and different fashion. Really, you know what I mean? I think
Yeah,
like Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Mosey, they all have like really cool different looks. You know, even Lil Pump. And I think with art, that kind of like complements that in one way or another. And I think this is really cool
totally.
that we kind of see that.
Like I remember an interview about like Young Thug, and like someone said he's like an impressionist rapper. So like, you know, the impressionist paintings of, you know, that Van Gogh would do when it was like super in style to do like exact like paintings or whatever. But Van Gogh would do, you know, it's the sunflowers or whatever, and it wouldn't be like exact measured. Um, and like people are saying like that's how Young Thug raps. And so like, yeah, the crossovers are crazy. And so he's definitely a big inspiration of mine. And yeah, it all merges together. It's all culture. It's sports, art, hip hop, entrepreneurship. It all really merges together, and it's really cool to see, you know, where people are taking it and how much it really crosses over and applies.
Mm-hmm. Speaking about Gary Vee, like, have you seen? It was like a podcast episode. I think it was on YouTube as well, where he did an interview with the founders of this canvas company. I forgot the name of it.
Iconic, yeah.
Iconic, yeah. And he partnered up with them, you know, and like their story was like pretty dope because I think those two guys, they randomly found them, like they discovered each other through someone else, and one guy was like hit up this random guy, and they kind of teamed up. And one guy was like more entrepreneurial, the other guy was like a straight up artist. They combined, and now they're like Iconic is worth like basically they're killing it, right? And
Oh yeah.
you know, and it's really cool because they're tying what kind of what you said, they're tying art with like entrepreneurship, and they're creating a brand around it. Now what you're doing is creating art around like sports, because now you have a lot of like clients who are professional athletes too. And I kind of see that in from your TikTok. So it's kind of cool how you kind of creating a brand around your true passions, you know, which is sports.
100, yeah. Yeah, and it's weird how it just kind of naturally happened that way. And like, yeah, you just gravitate. Like, I'd never thought I would be designing stuff for, you know, wives and girlfriends of players on the Vikings, the team I used to grow up watching like every Sunday. And so it's super weird how the world works, and it kind of traced me back to yeah, painting stuff I love. So I truly can't complain. It's super fortunate. And yeah, no, I definitely follow Iconic and what those guys are doing. It's incredible. Yeah, they're super savvy. And so I definitely try to pick up game from them, especially them being artists and in the art world.
Yeah, I think what they do now is like they create the digital art, and then they do it like a print on demand, because now they're producing a lot of volume. You know what I mean? It's not like they're doing everything handmade. Now, because you're doing everything handmade, you're kind of your price or your margins have to be a lot higher, or you know the time you put into it has to be a lot higher as well, because you know you're only one person working on DeVoCustoms, and yeah, it's gonna take a lot of time and effort for each individual jacket. So maybe
Totally.
as you like, have you like, is it still too early to think about like scaling, taking to like the next level, or like how do you kind of proceed? Like, because you said you want to at one point have your brand DeVoCustoms kind of support yourself besides your 9 to 5 job, right?
Yep. Great question. Yeah. Yeah. I think about it all the time. It's incredibly a clunky business to scale, right? I'm one person. I take my times with each individual customers. So yeah, eventually I think there will be, I don't want to say mass produce, but some type of, you know, easier to grasp product of DeVoCustoms. But I don't think I'm there yet. And I don't think I'm there yet because I sort of tried doing something like this in last year. It wasn't, you know, $20 screen printed tees or anything like that. Like I was making, but I made like a collection, and everything from the collection was just like my own vision. And I was trying to send a statement. Collection was amazing. People really liked the designs. Put it up at an art show. A ton of people came through, friends, everybody. But I didn't sell a single piece. And, you know, to me, it was like, man, like, why is nobody, like, what am I doing wrong? And like, I think the learning was, you know, my brand doesn't mean enough yet. There's not enough equity in it for people to go out and buy something with like from my vision or with my logo on it yet, in a significant way. And so I think that experience taught me that I still had a lot of work to do, and to eventually sort of roll out a product line or another sort of collection to that extent. So yeah, that's definitely in the cards. I think when I think about scaling like long term, it's interesting. Like this will go out of business or like out of style eventually, DIY clothing, stuff like that. But I think what won't go out of style is, someone feeling that they had a hand in creating something, for them, like, kind of like a tattoo, right? But tattoos haven't gone out. Like you get it means something to you. So that feeling, that energy is not going anywhere. And I think my brand is doing a really good job with that. And so I think the best way to manifest that and scale that would be through some sort of agency or a label, where it's a one-stop shop for shirts, jackets, video, photography, other stuff. And then that logo really means that, it means creativity. You have a hand in it. And I think the agency would be just the most feasible way to scale something like that. So that's obviously the way out there plan, but kind of where I see the brand going, and in the mission.
For sure, man. I think that's definitely a good goal to have, because like you're only one person. You can know a lot about everything, down to the marketing, down to like the ads if you do it, down to the art. But there's only so much time in a day, especially now that you have like 9 to 5, you have a kid to take care of. Only one person can do so much. So definitely, like over time, if you can scale, like hire more people to grow that agency that you really are looking forward to.
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't know, might change tomorrow. Like
you must change your mind. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I know I'm really happy with what I'm doing, and it's not to the full time that I want now, but like I could wake up tomorrow and be like, this is fine with me, or like follow like the Ben Baller route where, he does custom pieces for just kind of like famous people at high price points or something like that. Like maybe that's how it manifests. And so yeah, like I think I want to put definitely the happiness of me and my family at the forefront, and not kind of just scale to scale, and prove a point to who like that matters. So yeah, all that saying, like that's definitely the plan right now, and I think that would be the most feasible way to scale. But we'll see what happens. Having fun with it.
Mm-hmm. And now describe the moment when like TikTok came into the picture. Now, did that kind of like skyrocket your number of orders every month?
Yeah, great question. TikTok originally got on because of Gary Vee content. He was definitely pushing TikTok, and I'm glad he did. I mean, my first probably 20 videos were whack, like really no traction, a follower here or there, and frustrating, trying to understand it, and didn't. Eventually, I started to like understand a little bit about, what kind of drives people to watch videos on the platform. Maybe if I shoot it this way, or kind of break it up and do a big reveal at the end, something like that. I started to pick up those things. And I think my first one that went like nuts was, I did a piece for an NBA player, George Niang. He's on the Jazz. And I filmed the whole process from me, like first, like with the concept, painting it. And then I'm filming me like literally walking to deliver it to him. And I deliver it to him, take a picture or whatever. And then he actually wore it the day after in their game. And there's like a video of him like walking, wearing the jacket. And I posted up that whole kind of thing, and like just put like follow your dreams. And then like I had like posted it at like probably the worst time. I posted at like 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. PST. Like, I don't know why. And then, but like, I just started getting boom comments and buzzing, and like, people are like, this is so inspirational. And like for that whole week, probably just more and more people. And now I think it's at 400,000, which like to me is viral. For a 1 minute video is pretty viral, but like there's obviously people out there like, you know, tens of millions of views, but that was huge for me. And I got, I think 5,000 followers that week. And then, but I think what was more is like, okay, I got sort of what works. I got the formula now. I kind of know how to do a little bit, and not everyone's going to go, not every video I put out is going to go viral. Of course I know that. But it just gave me an indicator of success and trying to kind of tell stories in the same sort of way. But then there's also like a video that I posted that's like literally me here, and like I'm answering like 3 questions, and I'm like I'm like pointing to like thought bubbles of like 3 questions I get asked a lot, like are they washable or something like that, and I'm just pointing, and that got like 100K views. And so like there's still like there's still like the element of surprise, and I think that's the beauty of it, is like you don't know what works. Like Instagram, pretty person, pretty picture, like it's gonna work, but like TikTok, you just don't know, and it's helps everybody stay creative, and it's super fun. So yeah, the platform has definitely, I've gained a ton of traction and a ton of new commissions from it. And yeah, I hope it doesn't go away.
How many like if you remember, like how many orders would you typically get prior to like TikTok, and then post, or like not post, but like during like you becoming viral on TikTok?
Yeah. I don't know, because like I've gone like viral on Instagram before, and had like a taste of that when I did one for CJ and Nurk, and like having kind of some bigger accounts pick it up, league fits, and repost. And I got like a big influx of people reaching out through email, DM, Twitter, and so like, yeah, whenever, I mean, I probably really only have, you know, 5 to 6 videos that have like gone viral, all things considered. And so for those videos, like during those time slots, like there's been more, like, yeah, it like bubbles, like it's,
Okay.
there's a lot of commissions around that time that come in.
So it's not consistent, basically,
yeah.
right? It's really hard. Like basically you have like huge spurts of like commissions, right? DMs, and then
Right.
some weeks might be like slow, but then like one video might pop up and you get like an overflow of work, right?
Right.
That's how it works.
Totally.
Okay.
And like, I've still, you know, never, I'm always like, I have 14 in my lineup right now. Well, so like, and I don't have like a super, you know, viral video right now or anything like that. So like, I've always like had work to do, and there's never been a point where I'm dried up, like asking for somebody and like, or putting an ad out there, which has been nice. And like a lot of those like DMs are things I like, some of them are like, yo, can I get that shirt that you're selling? I'm like, this is a one of one, like hand painted thing. And they're like, oh, okay. And, or like I tell them the price and then they're like, oh, okay. Or, so it's not like, you know, all of those are like immediate conversions too. So that's something to consider. But like, so yeah, I'd say like there's, you know, big earthquakes of commissions like during these times, but there hasn't yet been a slowdown in work. And I think with, and because I definitely do not want to be reliant on that, right? I don't think any business wants to be relying on like having to constantly go viral on social media to maintain a business. And I think with my work with the NFL, which has been really good, is like, I'll make one for an NFL wife and she'll wear it to game, like the, you know, week 1. And then the other wives or players that are there, like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, what about week 2? And then, so like through that, like I'm still getting that kind of word of mouth play to keep it consistent, because I think to the point you're alluding to, like, I don't think you want to be at the mercy of trying to go viral and having these spurts to really drive your business. So luckily I've been able to cover the bases with both.
Yeah. And like just going back to like, say like scaling your business, having more production, like you never know, like these, like with these word of mouth, like you can't really, you know, analyze that. It's just up in the air somewhere. Right. And
Right.
like, I guess there's 2 ways to really approach it. Like either you get really high clientele, you know, get a huge like profit margin from like really high end clients, or you kind of figure out a way to do more volume. And I guess like you're kind of like stuck in the middle because you're kind of getting like kind of like the best of both worlds, because sometimes you get crazy organic reach on Instagram or TikTok and you have a bunch of like orders. And then sometimes you will have like, one of the NFL wives having a dope jacket, and then maybe their teammates want one. And then it kind of like jumps up from there, So I
Yeah,
think it's,
no, it's an interesting balance, right? Like, I mean, I probably could, like, for the Yusuf Nurkic, or the piece I did for CJ of Yusuf Nurkic, like, all copyright things aside, if I would have printed that on a tee and sold it at that time, like, it definitely would have done numbers. Like, I was having so many people reach out. But like, yeah, I didn't act that quickly. There's obviously legal implications there and stuff, but like, but to me, like, trying to build like a business around that just didn't, I'm kind of reliant on some of those bigger trending things. And so, navigating that balance, I think, is huge. And yeah, I'm definitely not an expert. I got a lot to learn. But there's multiple ways to do it, obviously.
have you ever like DM'd like, say, like artists or like athletes to be like, hey, like, I'd love to make this dope jacket for you. Let me know,
All the time. Yeah. I've actually DM'd every single player on the Trailblazers and none of them got back. So like, I have no shame in asking. Recently I haven't, just because I actually have, commissions to work on. But there will be times where, like, I mean, I think Q4 and like Q3 and Q4 right now, like, is definitely my big, I got to kind of get through commissions and do this, but like, early Q1, Christmas has just passed. Like, there's kind of a slower period where I can, take my time with my commissions and like try to outreach and stuff like that. And that's where I'll DM, artists, athletes, influencers. So yeah, I'm very comfortable with getting no's or getting left on scene. And like, I've definitely DM'd CJ before actually meeting him. And so he probably saw when he actually followed me back that I DM'd him before. But yeah, I think, if you're about your business and an entrepreneur, you get real comfortable with reaching out, asking, getting turned down, getting left on scene. Because it really just takes one yes, right? To really like launch your career. So definitely recommend.
Do you think like for any like new upcoming graphic designer, any new college student that wants to get into art, do you think it's really important for them to know, at least have a good concept of like entrepreneurship? Because, that phrase that people keep on saying, like, you're going to become a starving artist if you pursue art. And yes, there's a lot of opportunities, like you said, working for Nike, Adidas, but do you think you still have to kind of rely on yourself, know about business, know about social media, entrepreneurship, so that you can fall back to your side hustles, kind of like what you have with your brand?
Totally. Yeah. It's a great point. And I would argue that like the good artists have that built in. They have that DNA built in of like kind of knowing, they may not be on the ones and twos of like, the little hashtags on Instagram, but because if you're an artist, you grew up loving art, you grew up showing your art to family and friends, getting feedback, and you also like learned how to share your art and like advocate for your art. And that I feel like sticks with you. Like, so, I mean, I do know a little bit about art, right? So I took fine art. There was this guy who managed like an impressionist artist, like early on, before impressionist artist was cool, right? So, what he did was, so how all the art shows were set up, it was like multiple artists and like they all put their one piece up and they all kind of looked the same. He said, I'm going to do my own personal show with only my art. And so like, because before they would put the impressionist piece in there and they'd be like, oh, that one looks bad because like, look at all these other ones. And so he made like his own show and it kind of like disrupted how people viewed art. And so he had that like, like he just knew how to disrupt. He knew how to hack attention to get his message across. And like, he obviously went on to do great things. And so I really think like, natural artists, like the best artists I think have already had that DNA. Like the guy Cole from Iconic Art, like he like he's a good artist because he knows kind of what people are looking for, like how people perceive his pieces. And so for me, like it's an indicator that you're not just a good business person, but like that you're a good artist if you know how to run a business around it, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
So it's super important.
Have you heard of the stories of Terry Crews, the actor, like former football player, and like
I know who he is. Yeah.
Have you heard of like his story? Like I think I've heard of his podcast on like the Tim Ferriss show, and like his origins. Like it just reminded me of you because like he was really into sports. He played football. He went into a really good art school, and he was able to play football there as well. And you know he was killing it in art, but then he pursued like a professional football career that ended short, and then he went to acting, right? And then like he made like this really cool concept of like a chair that was also a table. So he always stuck to his roots of art, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just felt like that story was cool because in his college days, he would create like custom art for his teammates. You know, he would like draw them out and then like draw wings on them, and it would be really cool. And like it just reminds me of you because you're kind of doing the same thing within the sports industry, within the sports teams, creating art for players. And I think like you said, like it's really a big opportunity now that sports are like so mainstream that like it can really capture that attention that we're talking about, you know? And if you create that brand around sports, kind of like what Iconic is doing with entrepreneurship, I think there's a huge opportunity there.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think probably when most people see my page and look at me, they think probably like the sports custom artist, which is cool. But you know, I do everything from, you know, social justice to landscapes to all sorts of things. So I don't necessarily want to actively put myself in a box, but I definitely recognize there's an opportunity around it. And yeah, I mean, sports too, just kind of makes the most sense of where my type of art can live, right? Like you want to go to these sporting events showing your fandom and what you love about this team, and then I can help you express that. So it's like it pairs up kind of perfectly with having custom art. So yeah, super fortunate and really thankful that you mentioned me and Terry Crews in the same sentence. That's a big honor. No.
Yeah, man, I didn't even know that he was an artist like that, to be honest.
I didn't know that at all, actually. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, people have like hidden talents that we don't really know of. Now, like, are there like some pieces that you have that are like, okay, this is like definitely the best piece I ever created in my entire life. This is gonna get like a lot more popularity, a lot more attention than my other art, but in the end, like it doesn't go like out as you want it to. So like, you kind of like describe that feeling if that has happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably happened. You know, I mean, I kind of have a good indicator on like how it's going to do based on sort of who it's for and just the reach that person has. Typically we'll kind of tell how, you know, viral or whatever it goes. But like for me, I like to measure against like how, like, is the customer happy? Like, do they love their own piece? And then like, I'm not kind of taking the customer feedback and like, how about we do this? Cause like this could kind of go viral, like on the side, and then putting it out there. Like I'm measuring against like delivering kind of what they want. So yeah, I mean, there's been like some super cool pieces and stuff that like, you know, haven't gone because of sort of like, yeah, who it's for if they don't have a platform. But like I did one for my grandpa or something like that. And yeah, and then there's been, you know, some that like maybe aren't as technically sound, but they mean a lot, and it's for something, or it's for somebody like CJ or something like that. And then those get attention. So I've kind of noticed that for me, at least, like that's kind of where it fits in. Like it's never like the technicality of the art alone hasn't necessarily pushed, you know, the views, likes, whatever, one way or the other. But yeah, it's not typically what I'm kind of measuring against, but yeah, does that answer your question? It's kind of going
Yeah.
on a tangent.
So like, I'm sorry, on a personal level, like what type of artist or like what type of person do you want to be like known for? You know, like as an artist, like people would be like, yo, like Nathan, like you're this type of person, like you're known for this. Like, do you kind of have like a vision of yourself of like what type of artist you want to be known for?
Definitely. Yeah, and I'm playing with it a little bit because my tagline for the longest time since I started was everyone is creative, and living that by, again, letting the customer be the one who kind of drives the creative thing, and like I'm in a way like enabling somebody's creativity that probably thought they weren't creative at all. And so I think like that, I think what I'm doing is inspiring people to like start their own side hustles. And like I put out a ton of content about like how to do what I do. Like I have no secrets. Like I'll tell you exactly how to do it. And, you know, people will, those are like some of my best videos, and people will send me stuff that they've made and DM me. And I think that's like the coolest thing ever. And so that inspiration side of it has been like, this is huge. And then I've also been like thinking of like, cause everybody's creative is kind of generic, right? Like everyone's like heard that before. Your art teacher probably told you that in second grade. So I'm kind of like playing with sort of shifting it to being like to like tell your story. Cause like, again, when it comes down to it, like I'm telling the story of the customer or of the individual through this art. Like this art is it's a communication piece, and I'm telling what you're passionate about, whatever that might be. And so being known as like an elite storyteller and telling that person's like authentic experience, is also something that I want to leave behind. You know, I think like, yeah, again, like there's definitely people who have like someone, just for like instance or just an example, someone could do like the most intricate Kobe piece ever for celebrating Mamba Day for somebody, and have them wear it, and somebody famous, and have them wear it. Obviously it'll do numbers. Like I would like my piece to be like, okay, what did you specifically like about Kobe? And then how can I bring that into the art piece I'm about to make for you? Like, did you like that he was like extremely competitive? Like, how do I make that in the art? You know what I'm saying? So like, I try to like really make sure that it's like a true story. And every piece is a story. So I think that's kind of where the slogan is shifting, but in the end, I'm really just trying to inspire people, tell their stories, and just tell important stories in general.
So I'm pretty sure that you feel like very, very satisfied when like one of your customers are like extremely like happy with your artwork, because each artwork, each piece is unique in its own respect, right? You know,
Definitely. Yeah.
but compared to like
Yeah.
just having like one fixed copy of a digital like copy of a photo, or maybe even a hand drawn like image, like the fact that it's unique, that you have to speak with your customer on a regular basis to get that feedback, you know. And then at the end of the day, once they receive it and once you're really happy with it, I think like that feeling is probably is really good, right?
It's super, super satisfying, and it's two-way too. Like they also feel really satisfied about it too, and they'll recommend me or whatever. And yeah, no, it's like, and it really doesn't change depending on who I'm doing it for, whether it's for CJ or for my aunt twice removed. Like it's going to be like, I get the same joy out of it when they love the piece that they had hand in creating. So it's definitely something that keeps me going for sure.
So you find joy in making people happy, right?
Yeah. I think, yeah, happy and satisfied, and felt like like I brought something out of them, like that they created. So yeah, I'd say that.
Definitely, man. I think like just the process of like creating personalized art, getting them to the mix of creating their own piece, definitely adds a lot more value to like the whole experience, you know? It's not, you know, better way to say it, it's not just the art, it's the experience overall as well, you know?
Yep.
And that's
100%.
probably that's what they're paying for as well, you know, not just the
Yep.
art itself, but the whole experience, you know?
Yep. Nailed it. Exactly. Yeah.
For sure, man. So like Nathan, like where can like people like hit you up? Where can they find you? And can you also like talk about like the link that you put on your TikTok?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people can find me I'm on almost all social media platforms. DeVoCustoms at DeVoCustoms on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm under my real name, actually, Nathan Devon, and then TikTok, DeVoCustoms. So yeah, everyone can find me there. I am responsive on all of those. I mean, I have no life. I'm checking all those. I also have a website, so DeVoCustoms.com, and people can submit orders there as well, and as well as see past works. So all of those work, I respond to everybody. In terms of the link in my bio right now is obviously centered around Breonna Taylor and you know, the case that's going on there. One of my most recent pieces was for CJ McCollum, and it was a Breonna Taylor, you know, hand-painted T-shirt. Went viral, got a lot of attention on social media, and yeah, posted a TikTok about it, sort of explaining the story, why it's important, and then put like a call to action in my bio. So in my bio, there's links you can read about the case. There's also tangible actions of what you can do to help the case and help the cause. Yeah, so I mean, it's, you know, a serious situation right now, and you know, we got to keep our foot on the gas. I mean, this is the first time in my lifetime that people have ever been, you know, so aware and interested in, you know, what is racism, what is systematic racism, like how can I help? And so when these things come up and it's time to take a stance, you know, now is the biggest time more than ever. And so I hope that link was educational for some people. Some people utilized it to take some action. And yeah, I, you know, yeah, I hope that was helpful for people.
Yeah. And I think like you don't have to be like a political figure to help out, you know, and it's really cool that you used your skill set, your passions to help with that cause, you know, your passion of art to kind of help people with this cause that's like really killing everyone. And like I think it's a good step that people can follow, you know, like if you want to be involved, if you want to help out, there's always a way, no matter how big or small. If you can create an impact, then I'd say definitely go for it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's like comes back to me like recognizing my platform, and like this is the best way I communicate is through my art. And so like it's a disservice to myself if I'm not using that to do stuff that's meaningful for me and my life and my family. And so, you know, if that for you is podcasts, if that for you is writing articles, if that for you is maybe you're just like a social like influencer person, like you organize the parties with your friends, you're the person that organizes people to go to a protest, you know what I mean? Like figuring out what are you good at, and like that's your platform, that's your talent, apply it to, you know, social justice, apply it to things that you're passionate about and want to help out in. I think that's my big message, and hopefully that video and that link inspires people to do that.
Yeah, definitely think that's that too. Like as long as you apply your skill to like a passion, I think there's like no stop. I'm pretty sure you can work hours on end on your art and not even get tired because you love it so much, you know. And I think it's the hardest thing for a lot of people, like just finding that passion, you know. It's easy, like, oh, it sounds easy, like just find your passion and do it forever. But I think it's really easy to kind of trick yourself to like know what your true passion is, because I think there's a huge difference between like an interest or a strong interest,
right?
With the passion, because with the passion, like you can literally like just work on it, like forget about eating, literally, or drinking water. You just work.
Facts. Yeah.
So like that's like, and I think that's really helpful with like entrepreneurship as well, because you can create a business that you don't genuinely like, make some money, but in the long term, you're just kind of creating your own 9 to 5, or like you feel trapped in your own business and
Right.
not working on something that you genuinely love. So I
Right.
think that's one of the most important things. It's really finding your passion. And if you can create a business around that, then even better, you know?
How did you find your passion?
I've tried like many things. Like at first, like to be honest, when I was in college, I was extremely minimalistic. And it was
Yeah.
weird. It was like, you know the movie Fight Club?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why, but that movie just like, it's like very philosophical. And like, I was like, you know what? I don't even care about like, about anything. I'm just gonna like be minimalistic. But
Yeah.
then like, I think like listening to like Gary Vee, like reading books, like I just had like a surge of like, I want to be known for something. I want to be like, be motivated and work on something that I genuinely like. Uh,
Definitely.
I just want to like find it, right? And I didn't have
Yeah.
that passion at the time, so I tried like making like my own digital marketing agency. I figured I quit because I didn't like it. I tried creating. Actually, I'm not an artist myself, but I love pop art. Like I love canvas
Yeah.
pop art. I love like retro stuff, like 1970s, like those retro colors.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I had like freelancers create like pop art in the vision that I had, and I was gonna sell it through canvases, kind of
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
Iconic did, but with pop art, and kind of create
Right.
a brand around that. I had like a podcast, wrote articles, but I figured that that was a strong interest, but it wasn't a passion, and that like solidified the fact that okay, even though I love pop art, you know, I'm not passionate about it, and it's not something that I'm willing to work for day in day out.
For
And so
sure.
then it took me a while to like figure out what do I really like. I like storytelling. I like entrepreneurship. I like business. But to be honest, I didn't really know how to start a business. I kind of just knew how to like tell stories, how to write, how to make a website,
Yeah.
how to navigate through social media. And I was like, you know what? Let me just create a brand around making entrepreneurship more cool, more vibrant, and providing value to like young aspiring entrepreneurs, because I think everyone's trying to figure out or finding out that maybe school isn't for them, maybe it's a scam, and maybe there's a better way of making money online, because like you said, the internet is breaking the barrier from,
Right.
you know, from doing what you really want to do. And so I think like talking with people like you, like other entrepreneurs, anyone who's listening to this, kind of get a better idea of what they can do and what the potential of doing it, and really just taking action and finding your passion to create a business and making a life for themselves, you know?
That's dope. Do you think like when you were a young kid, do you think you showed flashes of doing what you're doing now that you're passionate about? Just like a
Nah.
theory that I'm testing.
To be honest, man, like that's a good topic to talk about, because like I feel people might say, oh, you got to be born with this. To be honest, I just had an epiphany, and my epiphany was like, okay, I was happy with being minimalistic. I was happy with working a 9 to 5 job. Hopefully I'll like it. And to be honest, I didn't, right? And I saw so many people on YouTube creating businesses, people providing tons of value, working on things that they love. And that made me realize, okay, I want to really like my hustle mode just turned on out of nowhere. Like
For sure.
just like I did it. I wasn't born with it. It was just an epiphany, just an event where like I just had to do something. I had to do something with my life and create something that's gonna be remembered for like years on end. And just keep in mind, like I just started this like 6 months ago, not
Right.
like, not even really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to create something that was like really cool, and that's something that people like can relate to, and create a brand around it, and not just a business that would just make money. I want to like just really provide value in the long term and create something really meaningful. And I think it was just that moment of like watching other people, listening to podcasts, reading books on entrepreneurship and business, just turn on the switch for me. And I wanted to experiment and try new things until I found my passion and just dive into it. And I think just finding that passion, like I said, is just extremely difficult. But once you find it, there's no going back, you know?
That's super dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it's good that you got to find, like, you found your passion and you found it at a young age and you kind of knew what to do with it. I think the sooner you find your passion, the better it is that you can find, because it's really hard to like find what you really want to do, you know?
Right.
You gotta try new things and, you know, just try new flavors, try new things and take action. And hopefully once you find that thing that you love, just go for it, go all in.
100%. And yeah, I'm definitely fortunate that like, I definitely knew I loved doing art, but I'd be lying to say like I didn't, like I kind of ran away from it and like didn't go all in from an early age and stuff like that. And, you know, my epiphany was like somebody, motivational speaker came to our college or whatever, was like, you know, a lot of you know what your passion is, but you're just too scared to chase it. And then that's when it was like, oh, dang, like that one hit me right here. And I was like, man. So that was mine. And that's kind of, I feel like that's maybe kind of similar to your trigger point, but like, I'm also, yeah, I'm thinking of like, you know, even like, you know, when I was super young, I liked art. Mine obviously is super like linear pattern, but like someone who was super young and they, you know, were really good at, you know, or they like loved like basketball or something super young age, but like now they work like I'm not trying to shade finance or something, but like they work like in finance, and, you know, maybe there's like a way to do finance like in basketball, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Oh no,
think
yeah,
like,
yeah. You gotta find a
yeah,
combination of both worlds.
right. And like, yeah, if there's a way, if like there are flashes of what you're truly passionate about when you're like a kid, like before all of these like outside influences of like parents, adults, media is pushing, like what were you truly passionate about at the core when you were like, yeah, again, like 4, 5, 6. And like, I think there's a indicator of what that is, and like figuring out how to manifest that.
No, definitely. I think you have to find the little kid inside you. You know, I
Yep.
think
Yep.
no matter how old we are, at the end of the day, I think we're still like little kids, and we
Yep.
still find joy in the small things. And if you can just be the little kid for the rest of your life, doing the thing that you love, I think that's even better. You know.
Definitely.
So yeah,
Nice.
Nathan, I think I definitely love your story. I think we provided a lot of value for any you know, aspiring entrepreneur, any artist who's contemplating on going to school or going to a graphic design school and not knowing what they want to do for real. So I think we definitely provided a lot of value, and I really appreciate you uh, having you on the show.
Dude, thank you so much. That was an awesome conversation. Yeah, hopefully that helped a lot of people. My line's always open too if you have any more questions about what I do. And yeah, excited to see where this goes for you, and was super excited to be on the show. So thank you.
Thanks, man. All right, so I'll definitely notify you once like the podcast is uploaded and whatnot. But yeah, for now, uh, I think it was a good conversation, good content. And is there anything that you wanted to like kind of like mention that we didn't?
No, I mean, I think we kind of touched all of it. Yeah, I'm glad we touched on social justice at the end. I thought that was, especially given the time, something that's really, really important. So, so yeah, no, I think we touched all of it. So
Okay.
yeah, I think whenever you post it,
Yeah, definitely
obviously up
notify
to you,
you.
and I'll share it. And yeah, I love taking. I haven't found like a really, you know, easy way for me to do it yet, but taking like, yeah, snippets of these conversations, because I think there was, to your point, just so much value in some of these little snippets, and trying to repurpose that. So that'd be
For
sweet.
sure, man. So yeah, I'll definitely notify you on that as well. I might take a little bit more time,
Yeah,
but
take
I'll
your
definitely
time.
tell you. All right. So
Yeah, yeah,
Nathan, thank you once again, bro. All right.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, man, and best of luck to you.
Thanks. Bye.